Great job by my guy, Chris Van Vliet, of course. WrestleMania is going to be awesome. Man, I'm jealous. I want to go so bad. There's so many things this week I want to go to the Final Four. All right, I don't know. I do know. I'm not going to either, all right? Nice of Chris to offer me up a room in the guest house there in the Van Vliet Mansion. I appreciate that. And, of course, all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0, you know, are brought to us by Johnny Cuba. Lifestyle brand. We're talking European roots of the Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. Hey, that's how I was enjoying last night. I mean, I wasn't enjoying most of the game, Panthers and Heat, but I was enjoying my six-pack of Johnny Cuba. You could pick up your own six-pack of Johnny Cuba right now. Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. I love when you guys send me the pictures or the videos on Instagram, and then I put it on my story because I'm an influencer on Instagram. But you guys are like, yo, Zaz, I didn't know Johnny Cuba was so delicious. Like, been trying to tell you. Remember, always drink responsibly, and don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Let's get to big deal or not a big deal. You know it. You know how we do it at the end of every show. We got to find out if it's a big deal or not a big deal. If you're dealing with water or mold or fire damage in your home, that could be a really big deal. It may not be a big deal. I don't know, but Water Cleanup of Florida, they do. Call Water Cleanup of Florida 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call or text 954-900-8635. 954-900-8635. Water Cleanup of Florida. They'll tell you if it's a big deal or not a big deal. Big deal or not a big deal. So how about this? Last night, the Sacramento Kings ended the longest non-playoff drought in all of sports. 16 years. And the Sacramento Kings, who are a top 3 team in the West, are back in the postseason. Last time they were in the playoffs, Rick Adelman was the coach. They've had like 100 coaches since. Mike Brown should win Coach of the Year. That's a big deal. Kings are a fun little team. I'll be rooting for them out west. The Kings are back in the postseason. That's a big deal. Big deal or not a big deal? So yesterday was Wednesday, which means on First Take, my guy, Christopher Mad Dog Russo. I mean, that is my guy. I love Chris. He's a major influence on me. He's an all-time greatest Hall of Famer. Christopher Mad Dog Russo, every time he's on First Take, he does like a session where he talks about things that are angry, things for him to yell about. What's the doggy upset about? Well, very similar opinion to me. A couple nights ago with Joel Embiid sitting out again, ducking Nikola Jokic.
Now, I know they had a back-to-back. I had a call the other day on the air that said, you know, Chris, I bought 2 tickets. I'm from Philly for the Denver-Philadelphia game on 2 nights ago, $600, and Embiid doesn't play. Now, listen, they only play a couple times a year. These are the 2 best centers in the league. They're great all-time players. I know we had Golden State and Phoenix, the back-to-back. Can we figure it out, Doc? And Embiid, and play the game against Jokic. What's his name? Jokic. Can you play the game? I couldn't believe he didn't play that game after he put 48 against them back in Philly early in the year. This is a marquee matchup. He's got calf soreness. Suck it up and get out there. And I usually don't like to make a big deal about injuries because then it comes back to biting in the rear end when he's really hurt. But that one really bothered me. He played in Phoenix and Golden State back-to-back, and then he can't play against the Nuggets, against the and then he's going to scream about the MVP. You know, he's missed 14 games, and Jokic has missed 8 games. If I was voting, that would be a factor. Him not playing a couple nights ago in Denver against him really bothered me.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Doggy's right. I mean, come on. It's just a coincidence that that's the game that he's sitting out? No, he feels like he already got the leg up on Jokic. We know that it's all that Embiid cares about. Been talking about the MVP every day for years now. It's like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to sit out here. Everyone's going to remember we only played once and I dominated. I don't know. I think it could have the opposite effect. I think you got people who are upset about it, and they may now lean toward Jokic if they were on the fence. That's a big deal. Big deal or not a big deal? Last night, Kevin Durant made his Phoenix Suns home debut. After missing the previous 10 games, played in just his 4th game as a member of the Suns. It was at home. They won. He struggled. He had 16 points. He was 5 of 18 from the floor. I think he missed his first 6 shots. They won. They beat Minnesota. This is not a big deal. I think you could understand. I mean, long-term, maybe it'll end up being a big deal, but I think it's not a big deal because I think you can understand the trepidation from Durant. Probably nervous. Not that he's in front of his home fans for the first time, but he didn't just get hurt last game. He got hurt in the layup line. So I think it's not even rust. I think he was probably a little timid and, needs to kind of work that confidence back. I could see it. So I'm going not a big deal for now. Big deal or not a big deal? Lone Depot Park this afternoon, 4:10. Not only is it opening day for the Marlins, but you get probably the best pitching matchup on opening day throughout all of the major leagues right here at Lone Depot Park. Sandy Alcantara, Max Scherzer. That's a big deal. I mean, you're in for you want to talk about spring training with the pitch clock trimmed off an average of 26 minutes per game. Between the pitch clock, how fast these guys work, and just mowing them down, hey, you may get out of there in an hour. Very quick game coming up at Lone Depot Park. We'll see. That's a big deal. And finally, big deal or not a big deal? So, Kyrie Irving last night. Again, this is like the third game in a row. 2 games ago, he's critical of the fans after the game about booing the Mavericks at home. Hey, you can come and try and play, but we have years of experience. Okay. Keep talking about science, Kyrie. Years of experience, right? Then the next game, he has a fan thrown out. Who knows what that fan said? I'm sure it was nothing in particular. I'm sure it's just heckling. But this Kyrie Irving is as soft as it gets. Had him thrown out. And now last night, delays the game, holds up the game because a guy's sitting in the front there, courtside in Philadelphia. Who knows what he said to Kyrie? Everyone's got to wait on him. The referee now is win. Referee should have just given the guy the ball to inbound it. If Kyrie wants to talk with a fan, all right, you go hang out over there. I mean, this imbecile. Every game with this imbecile, Kyrie Irving. Fans are allowed to heckle, man. Deal with it. And then you got Russell Westbrook, who had a fan thrown out again last night. I believe they were in Memphis. The part that I don't understand, NBA players could just point at a fan and they automatically get thrown out. If an NBA player is getting heckled, they don't like what the fan is saying, they just get to throw fans out of games. There's no questioning. There's no one else has to hear anything. Just an NBA player has carte blanche to just throw people out of games. Now that's what we're doing. And this is a big deal. It's enough already. It's got to stop. And that right there is another edition. A big deal or not a big deal. Brought to us by Water Cleanup of Florida. Make sure the leak that you find, make sure it's not a big deal. You got to find out. Water Cleanup of Florida, call or text anytime, 954-900-8635. They'll tell you if it's a big deal. All right. Thanks to Chris Van Vliet for joining us earlier in the show. 2 sleeps away from the Final Four. Tonight, huge Panther game in Montreal. I declared them dead, but still, they could finish tonight in a playoff spot if everything breaks right. We'll see. I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence. All right. Anyway, tomorrow, we're going to finish the week strong. I can feel it. Thanks to everybody who worked on the show today. You did a great job. You put together a great show. You made it easy. I appreciate all your hard work. We'll talk to you on ZASLOW Show 2.0 tomorrow. You know what that means.